and welcome to my February newsletter. I know we're already into mid-February, but it still is feeling like the start of the new year to me. Apologies if I'm a little sniffly today. I've been battling another cold, another sickness bug. And yeah, so that's why this is coming a bit late, because last week I was in bed recovering or trying to recover. So even though I'm pretty late on the new year, I maybe can get away with it because this year was Lunar New Year, and apparently it's the year of the fire horse, which is the year for bold action, risk-taking and growth. My 2-year-old has definitely got the memo, as he has taken to scaling the kitchen cabinets and also climbing on top of this very high tottering stool to try and reach the snack cupboard. He genuinely has no fear. It terrifies me. And he has the most energy in our house. I am still feeling low energy due to all these sickness bugs we've been having. It really does feel like we've been hit by one after another since the start of the year, and we've been a bit in survival mode. But I have been trying to think a bit about the year and my writing plans, and for now I have decided that I'm going with experiments rather than goals. And that is because, to me, experiments at this time of my life, when I have so many things going on, feel easier. Because with an experiment, there is no failure, there's only learning. So, for example, this audio version of the newsletter is an experiment to see if people like it, if there's enough interest for me to continue doing it. And I'll probably review that in a few months, because it does take a fair bit of my time, my limited time, to produce the audio version and to post it. So if you are enjoying listening to it, let me know, and I will take that feedback into consideration. The main experiment I'm doing is around my writing time and trying to really make the most of what time I have and be productive. So I'm going to be testing different methods for that, whether it's better to concentrate my writing time on one morning a week, or take an hour a day across 3 days or 4 days in order to fit that time in. So I'm going to hopefully start that experiment next week, and I'll let you know in a couple of months how it pans out. Next month, I'm looking forward to my annual writing retreat, which always feels like a bit of a reset and actually the start of a kind of new year for me. It gives me a bit of time away from my wonderful yet all-consuming family to do some work and also to think and to reflect. So I'm looking forward to that next month. I'm going to be working on editing my demon book, and I've actually been doing some research over the past week while I've been sick into the marketing side and what the sort of market is for demon and demon hunter books. And that's led me to come up with a couple of questions which I've got for you. And I'd really love to get your view as a reader on these. So for context, the book I've been writing is an urban fantasy book with a romance subplot. So urban fantasy, as you probably know, is fantasy elements or paranormal elements set in the real world. And with urban fantasy, the main plot is usually around a mystery, a problem the characters have to solve, or perhaps something like saving the world or saving their family or friends. And the romance is usually a secondary element to that. And that differs from paranormal romance books, which also have fantasy elements set in the modern world. But the main central plot of these books is the relationship between two, or sometimes more, main characters. So that romance element is really the plot of the book. Now, when I did my research and I was looking for demon books and in the sort of categories on Amazon, a lot of the books, in fact, I'd say the majority of the books that were coming up were very romance focused and also had quite sort of dark romance themes. Perhaps some of those forbidden love tropes or taboo subjects, which, to be honest, isn't really surprising if you're thinking about demons and romance. But I would be interested to know what your expectations are if you came across a book, perhaps a book of mine, or perhaps any kind of demon book, if someone came up into the street and said, oh, what do you think of demon romance? So the two questions I have are, firstly, how much romance would you expect in a demon book, or a book about demon and demon hunters? Would you expect a small amount of romance, perhaps an equal amount of romance with a strong sort of other plot element? Or would you expect the romance, perhaps between a demon and a human, to be the central part of the novel, as with paranormal romance? And the fourth option in this question is if you would just not touch a book which involves demons at all, because I appreciate it's not everyone's cup of tea. The second question is around the heat level or the spiciness of the romance in the book. Now, this is kind of hard to categorize because there isn't a set category for it, but would you expect or prefer a mild romance, by which I mean sort of closed door, fade to black romance, where there might be an intimate scene, but that's done behind closed doors and there's not a description of it. Moderate romance, where you might have one scene in a book, one sort of intimate scene in a book, but the language used is not particularly explicit. Or would you prefer more explicit romance with perhaps a couple of strong intimate scenes, explicit language used? And I guess the fourth option here is, would you expect more of that dark romance leaning? So perhaps some more taboo subjects, riskier, more adventurous encounters. I would love to know what you think. So if you go back to the email, there is a really short survey in there. It's literally click 2 buttons. It's completely anonymous, and you can let me know your views. If you want to give me more detail, then you can, of course, email me, and I would love to hear your thoughts on this. I'm also going to be reading more demon books over the next month, and I'll be feeding back next month with some of my favourite books, hopefully at different spiciness levels for people's preferences. But if you have read a demon book which you loved, then please do send me that recommendation, because I would love to have some recommendations for really good books that you enjoyed. So aside from book stuff, in between battling the sickness bugs and the really grey, dreary, wet weather we've had here in the UK over the past few months, I've been trying to get my garden ready for spring. And one of the most joyful sights for me at this time of year is when the spring bulbs pop up. And I've pasted a photo in my email of my crocuses blooming in the spring bulbs pot that I planted in autumn last year. So I'm looking forward to more flowers and really looking forward to the return of spring this year. It's felt like a really long, hard winter. Finally, just before I go, I also had some good news this week, in that a couple of my author friends have hit the Sunday Times bestseller list here in the UK with their new releases. So if you enjoy romantasy books, which are all the trend at the moment, then I really recommend you check out The Lies That Summon the Night by Sonia Odette and King of Ravens by Claire Sager. And it's wonderful to see any author doing well, but really authors that I know, who I know have worked really hard over many years to get to this level and this success, and to see them do well. So I hope you have a wonderful month. Do let me know your thoughts on demon romance books, and I will chat to you again next month. Goodbye.